everyone, and welcome to our today's session where we will take you through Logmanager 4. We will do live demonstration, explain why we have the new version and what it contains, and we will also have a look at our roadmap for the next year. My name is Arthur Kane, and I will be your host today. And today joining me is Lubor Junter, who's our product manager and who'll be the main star taking you through all the news.
Hello, everyone. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Arthur, for this introduction. And let me do the overview what we will present today. I'm happy to share, all the news around the Logmanager 4, since we have been working on Logmanager 4 for some time. And this is great time to share what we achieved, what we did, and but also I would like to focus on potential limits we have for your expectation, which customers will be able to migrate in which time. So this is the goal of the presentation, to share what is new, how to adapt on the news, how to work with potential customers. And if you are a customer, it's also great to understand, what limits are still in Logmanager 4 and what is the path to address all those limits. So I will start with some general, news, sharing the major highlights of the Logmanager 4. Then I will show the online demo, and then we will also tackle a little bit the 3.12 version, which is, part of the presentation is roadmap and time frame expectations, and also 3.12 release is something which is on our roadmap. So I just want to share with you what to expect in this version. So let's jump into Logmanager 4. Why we started working on Logmanager 4? We had some challenges, some technical challenges, some limits, like the frameworks or technologies we have been using. To be specific, we have been using Elasticsearch database in the bottom of the system, and the Elasticsearch database was really like agey already. We started using it when it doesn't support when it didn't support the role-based access control. So we built our own mechanisms for role-based access control, and we were building and building and building on top of the Elasticsearch. Meantime, Elasticsearch and OpenSearch were just extended by all those features we developed by ourselves. But given that we have our own implementation, it was really getting complicated, and even the small change in the code just was too complex to do. So
the speed at which we could introduce new features was hampered by the complication and difficulties in the old code. And there was this moment where we knew we had to put a stop to this and start from scratch and be able to deliver faster and make everything more user-friendly.
Exactly. Yes. So this is the story why where we started, why we started working on Logmanager 4. So what is new? The most, the biggest highlights at the beginning. So we have created a new graphical user interface. So we optimized the menu and all the structure of the user settings and user path when doing the analysis in logs. But also we have added new types of visualizations. We are getting to more fancy visualizations, and also enabling like smoother work with the filters and saved search and everything. I will show it later. Some traffic lights like visualizations, allowing administrator to catch attention if needed. Also some word clouds, heat maps, and other types of visualization. So this is I will show it in the product itself, but this is the most once we did a change in the bottom in the technologies, we also wanted to have some benefits for end users, right? So we didn't want to change the technology and keep all the user experience, as we knew that the user experience is already a little bit, obsolete in terms of, it reflects the time the system was created. So we just wanted to bring big upgrade also in these terms. But it's not only, about the technologies and the visualizations and the user experience. It's the Log Manager 4 is also about the data structure and the architecture. It might sound like too big topic. It's only architecture, but it matters when it comes to performance. So let me explain a little bit how it works today in Log Manager 3. The data storage architecture uses daily indices. So a big file which is stored each day. You collect the data from various data sources through the day, right? And everything is being collected to the log manager, and then it's being stored as a single file for each day. So it's super big, maybe 100 gigabytes, of text data. And at the end, you can imagine the file as a super huge table. It's just, each log is a separate row and row. Yeah, it's a separate row, and then each value in the log is a separate column. So it's super big file for working with. And when you do some search in such a file, especially in a big time frame, it means that we need to, you create some data query, data, some query to search query, and then it just goes to the file. It brings the file to the memory. It opens it and goes and computes the conditions, and then it needs to be closed, and you need to keep the free space in the memory for the other day and for the other day for the other day. So at the end, it's a super huge sequence of very heavy computing heavy procedure. Yeah. So we decided to get rid of this. We split the indices, like the big ones, into smaller ones, which are focused on specific technology. So if you have a parser for, I don't know, Cisco switches or Aruba or Windows or firewall, whatever you imagine, for all those data from this data source, we store it in a separate, smaller file. And so it's not one huge, but tens of smaller files. And the advantage is that the file is not closed at the end of the day. It's just being opened until it gains like 40 gigabytes of the size, or it's larger than 30 days. So at the end, when you do the search in some specific technology, for example, in data from firewall, you can easily get your 1 or 2 weeks data query. It uses maybe only 2, 3, or 4 indices instead of 14. So this is the big advantage on the performance then, because all the necessary performance needed to the memory management and accessing the file is really, the impact is really huge. And also the size of the file itself is really huge, because then if you have the table of logs and it's only firewall logs, you do not have the 1,000 columns in it. So this is really big change and big step for us, changing our mindset from daily indices to smaller ones for faster and efficient search. And it also allows us something which we call like retention management. So we will be able to manage differently, data from different sources. If you need to store data from firewall for 90 days and the other data half year, you can do that.
So I think in a sense, this picture that we have here is sort of analogical to the real world, where in the version 3, you would have a massive big block for a daily index or indice that contains all of the data, where now you have much smaller blocks, which are much easier to pull out into memory and work with. And everything is based off of indices in Logmanager, right? So that is data management, search, backups, everything. So we should see the improvements throughout the whole system.
Yes, but also it brings a little bit of complexity in terms of thinking of the data, right? I can imagine that if you do a search ineffectively, you cannot gain too much benefits from this new architecture. You need to think about this architecture or keep it in mind how it works a little bit, so you can, get the most benefit of it. The example is that if I know that I'm going to search through the data from, I don't know, DHCP logs, I need to specify that, hey, search this data only from the indices of DHCP, because obviously you can do a search on everything. If you do not know where it is stored exactly, you can use like asterisk search, which is super heavy for computing, but it's not effective. So that's the reason it's cool, but you need to be aware of how it works. So you specify what you search and how you search, and then you get great experience.
Having all this data comes with some perks, unlike some systems that have super fast search, but they only index very few data points. Where we want to index everything and make everything searchable, we need to think of how we do these queries, right? But for many queries, the performance gain will be very visible.
Yes, exactly. That's the point. Another news you might see immediately in the system is that you can start using two-factor authentication. Either you can just like in mandatory mode, if you are admin, you can force all users using second factor. If it's not enforced, you can still, as a user, decide that you would prefer using it. We have added Azure infrastructure logs, so we have a separate component. As our attendees might know, the Office 365 component and Windows agent and SQL component, and some others. So we have added the Azure component, ensuring the logs using API calls to Microsoft or Azure Analytics Workspace. So you can easily start collection of the infrastructure logs. We are also going to improve this this Azure component to be able to focus on the other types of logs, not only the infrastructure ones, but also Entra ID, Microsoft 365, or other logs you can imagine you can find in Analytics Workspace. And the other type of improvement of this component will be to choose whether you prefer to using Analytics Workspace or the other source, which is called the Microsoft Event Hub.
So with that, let me give you the first question. So new features, will they be coming to Logmanager 4 predominantly, or Logmanager 3 as well?
Most of the new features are coming for the Logmanager 4. There are some specific features which we have backported to Logmanager 3.12 if it's really like if it makes some business sense. For example, the two-factor authentication is something which will appear also in the 3.12, which is the current generation of Logmanager, and the current release which will follow. Good, so let me jump into the live demo. So maybe I will start here. This is my home dashboard of the Logmanager 4. So starting with the dashboard, you know that the old Logmanager offers like over 100 links of the built-in content, built-in dashboards. We migrated most of them, but we have created a mechanism where you can do your own adjustment of the home dashboard. So you are intended to pick those technologies which are relevant for you, which you collect logs for visualize the data, and then you just store the dashboard, and you can go to your profile, and you can select which of the dashboard is your favorite one. So this dashboard which you use here is then being used as the home one for your dashboard.
So instead of the home dashboard being just a list for the inbuilt dashboards, you can actually visualize data on the dashboards. And I see in this example here, you still have the list of all the vendor specific dashboards as well, but you can completely get rid of those, right?
Yes.
If you want to have only your visualizations across any of the below dashboards, you can have it here and define it as your home dashboard.
Yes, exactly. If you would like to find all the dashboards available in the system, you can always go to, dashboards and start searching, I don't know, Windows related. And no matter whether you have it on the home dashboard or not, you can always list through them, here. So you do not need to worry to delete some of your, technologies from your home dashboard, because you always know that you can come back and you can either add them, or you can find another way to get to to navigate to the dashboard. But also, that there is plenty of visualizations which need some adjustments, like related to the specific implementation, to the specific customer needs. And these types of visualizations, which are kind of traffic lights, you can easily adjust them. You can edit the visualization. You see the couch graph. If you're not interested in couch graph, you can make like simple number, or you can edit the colors. If you know that, hey, but my Logmanager is supposed to collect 200 EPS maximum, you can then just change all those colors. And let's say the max is not 500 but 200. You can see that it's already full, or maybe let's do, I don't know, 250. Then we can change some lines to make it more visible. You can see that it's wider now. Here you can change the colors, so you can put the rules. So if the metric is greater than 100, let's put the color to, let's say, yellow. Then if it's between 1 or 100 and more, the metric is greater than let's say 200, and put the color red, so you are informed that something is wrong. So you can see immediately here, I'm saving here, and you see that this is like real traffic light information that hey, something's wrong. This applies also for the alerted events. If somebody is used to have like 0 alerted events, they can just put this orange color to red immediately, or use some schema like the heat map, going through some colors specified in the visualization settings. So this is like specifics for some of the visualizations. Then we have another types, this data flow diagrams. We have the geo maps, the heat maps. I can show you maybe some traffic logs dashboard. We often use also the word cloud as, it works similarly to the Logmanager 3, that it works as a filter, right? So if I know that I'm interested in traffic logs, but I know that I'm interested only in the Synology, let's say. I click on the Synology and everything is being recomputed and showing me only the Synology related data. And then I can go, as I'm used to from Logmanager 3, if I want to see only this data from NAS1, I can put it again onto the filter and do the drill down. So, and in the bottom, I see always the logs, the parsed logs and the evidence what I'm used to. If I need to see the summary in the table, let's say if I'm interested in the host name, I can put it in the column here directly, from the logs. So it's very, very handy, very easy to use for following all those investigations. So then when I'm browsing, I immediately see the field I'm interested in.
I feel like it's a great time for another question, and that's we can see that all the dashboards also work in Logmanager 4, right? So all your dashboards for firewalls, Fortinet, Cisco, whatever. What about custom dashboards and perhaps even cover parsers or any custom content that our customers already created on their old boxes?
Yeah. We have created a tool for like a helper for migrating the custom dashboards. So obviously the built-in content is being, created newly from us as a vendor. But if the end customer uses some specific parser, classifier, or dashboard, the parsers, classifiers, and alerts will be migrated during the migration procedure. But the dashboards are not easily migratable. So you need to pick which is the data source from the new structure of the indices. Then you might want to change some, as we previously supported only pie charts and bar charts. Now we have plenty of other options. So there is some user input needed, but we have created a helper tool which will create the basic dashboard, which is very similar to the previous one. And then either the partner or user can step in and start building on that pre-migrated dashboard from the Logmanager 3 system.
So we will help them in automated way with the migration, and then on top of that, they can leverage the new types of visualizations to improve those dashboards that they migrated from version 3, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So going back through the menu, so I mentioned that we tried to make the system as clean as possible. Let me just do the short tour through the menu. So in the analysis, you can see the dashboards, the reports, where we have completely new reporting. You can use the scheduled reports or the ad hoc ones. There is a new discover section, which is like very advanced search. So you can say, what is the data source? I mentioned, the asterisk stays for each cube in the picture, like all the indices. Not very efficient, searching through the asterisks. But if I know that I'm going to search something from Cisco, I can choose the Cisco indices here and start doing the data query. I don't know, setting the IP address, time interval, whatever I might want to find. And I always see, the visualization and all those logs related to the query. And similarly to Logmanager 3, you can always see, the top values. If message facility, you can see, which are the top 5 values in this field. So then you can, just include or exclude them from the filter, and you can build the filter like in a very interactive way. Processing part. This is something which is like processing pipeline of the logs. Just imagine the log manager, you ingest the logs from various sources. Then we have classifiers, we have parsers, and we have alerts. So the log goes through the log manager, needs to be classified. So we decide which parser is going to be used for that log. Then the parser is being is chosen, and we are doing the parsing. So we know which values needs to be parsed and stored separately, so you can use it in the visualizations and in the search instead of the full text, search. And then we have alerting, which is like doing kind of greater analysis of the logs, enriching them, doing some specific parsing. If you, for some specific logs under some specific conditions, you would like to add something into parsed fields, you can always do that in the alerts. And this, all three pieces are not radically changed in Logmanager 4. We keep them, that they worked well in Logmanager 3. We didn't want to change them too much, either for keeping the continuity with Logmanager 3, but also that it's they are using the blockly, which is really appreciated by customers, that it's easy enough for doing the self-service over the system. But what we did,
maybe to simplify, the alert that we have today, it is a mechanism for user input into the data processing, right? So a way how you can enrich, how you can add information into your parsed log data. But we also know that we should improve the alerting itself in terms of thresholds, in terms of custom sort of like tell me something when a specific data point goes above above some threshold. So how are we going to achieve or improve on that?
This is not yet in the Logmanager 4, but we have this in on our radar. We are going to use the OpenSearch native alerting, which will extend our alerting capabilities, especially for like database monitor use cases. So either the thresholds, but also the situation which is nearly impossible to detect with Logmanager nowadays. And it's if something doesn't happen, we can easily detect that something happens, but we cannot easily detect that something doesn't happen. And this will the built-in OpenSearch alerting we will start using will help us to extend these use cases and to live together with our existing alerting and extend all those capabilities, and also allowing us doing different kinds of correlations, more effective correlations, not only over the 30 minutes window time frame, and also using different ways at the end of the alert, right? And now we can send the email, we can shoot a log somewhere, but with the new alerting, we will be able to trigger a webhook and send the webhook somewhere into other system, which will help us to integrate with some proactive security devices.
Thank you. I know we are jumping too far ahead. I know that you'll be closing up the demo because you still wanted to explain the timeline of events, and we have a question for that. So I'll wait with that question for when you jump back to the slides and show.
Okay, so I will just finish this in processing. The main change in processing in terms of classification and parsers is that we got rid of the classification templates, which were used for built-in content and built-in parsers. So we kind of hard-coded them, so the user doesn't need to care too much about classifier templates. The user just chooses whether they want to allow the vendor classification or not. If they allow, it works everything as they were used to in Logmanager 3. If they would like to prefer their own classification and no vendor built-in classification, they will just use the toggle. Also, we know that it makes sense to make an order for the classifiers to make sure that all those high probability logs are being classified first. So it's more effective for computing resources, and that's why we have like this drag and drop ordering feature. Parsers are going to be in a version 4.1, which is the public available version expected at the end of the year. They will be open, so you will see what's in the blockly code, and you can copy paste them. So not too much changes in tags, IP prefix list, lookup tables, just the structure where you find them. So it's structured in the tools under processing, and then you have the sources no changes except the new Azure Log Analytics and the settings, just some shuffling of the features together. So also the security related stuff is all together and so on. So this is from the demo, and we can continue. And do you have the question right now? Or
I will raise it when you get to that one slide where I remember you showed the timeline and migration.
okay, good. So let's go back to the presentation, and I just wanted to share the timeline. So we are conducting the alpha testing of the Logmanager 4. We have already the 4.04 version. Now we are finishing the 4.05 version. We will be onboarding customers for the testing. So we are moving kind of to the beta testing and still bug fixing everything what is reported. And we expect the general available release at the end of this year. So, but this is very important point. What to expect? What is the version 4.1? I mentioned some limits at the beginning, and we were not able to bring up the full-fledged Logmanager 4, immediately migratable from the Logmanager 3. So that's why we decided to focus on a small organization with 1 to 3 administrators, with no central management, yes, which will accept some missing features such as forwarders, granular role-based access control, configuration and data backup and restore, and high availability and clusters. So we are bringing the Logmanager to the smaller customers, still doing the optimization and meantime building all those missing features, but I will share the timeline that it's not going to take too long.
So in other words, those who don't have a Logmanager yet can, when they purchase Logmanager, they will start with the version 4 at the end of this year. Those customers who are current and are now running the version 3 will be migrated next year. When next year will be decided based on which features they're waiting for, right? So if they will need cluster or high availability, it will be later in the year. But if they will be only waiting for a support of forwarders, it will be at the beginning of the next year. We will also talk about migration, but the question I had in mind was whether version 3 and 4 will be developed and supported in parallel, or whether there'll be a day of a switchover from version 3 to 4 for everyone, and we will just put the 3 out of support.
Yeah. Until we are able to migrate all the existing customers to Logmanager 4, the version 3 will be still supported one and curated to enable full usage of the old version, including security patches and everything needed. But we want to get rid of the version 3 as soon as possible, but still it's not possible sooner than migrating the cluster customers, right? So this is why we are focusing on the features which allow us to migrate customers and not to bringing new features to Logmanager 4 which were not yet in the Logmanager 3. So going through the timeline. So I mentioned end of the year with the Logmanager 4.1. Also in the Q1, we expect, that forwarders, we will have compatible forwarders with Logmanager 4. We will bring the granular role-based access control, which, by the way, it is already in the system. It just lacks the UI. So we will just create the UI form for role-based access control management, and the same applies for the retention management. So all the customers missing forwarders and role-based access control might be able to migrate after Q1 next year. Then we will work on the backup and restore all the configuration and data, and SQL, we will bring the new SQL component supporting the new versions of databases. And the final step for us prior to migrating all the customers will be coming with the high availability and cluster option with Logmanager 4, which is obviously, you know, the most complex thing. And this is the last thing which will be the missing piece for the migration. We know that only, I don't know, 10% of our customers are using clusters or high availability setup, but still more the most important implementations, you know, most complex. So this is something we just want to address at the end, like, you know, by nature.
And so during the next year, version 3 and 4 will be supported in parallel, and we will try to migrate as many customers to version 4 as possible. And we will also try to get all the new customers to version 4 so that we don't have to migrate them later.
Right. Now it's time for the survey.
Yes, let's do a quick poll because we wanted to ask you, after hearing this, how do you feel about migrating to version 4? Are you ready to maybe start testing this latest version that it's not generally available yet? Or are you happy to migrate regardless of the missing features that we will be adding in Q1 and later next year? Or will you be waiting for the missing features and then migrate to version 4? It looks like for the most part, you are willing to wait to have the full feature set and then migrate to version 4, which we will try to do as soon as we can because we don't want to be supporting both versions in parallel unnecessarily.
Yeah, thank you.
One more question, maybe it's a good time now, is about how the migration will look like. Is it a replacement of end-of-life support for the new appliance with the latest version, or is it a software update?
It's a software update, so we expect that all the customers, you know, with the valid support, you know, they will be allowed to migrate. That they will be at the end encouraged to migrate. You know, as we always each of the software vendor, you know, has some policy of supporting, you know, the recent and maybe the previous version. We do not want to keep maintenance of some obsolete versions. So if the time comes, we will just encourage customers to go with the full-fledged Logmanager 4 and to migrate. There is no special pricing for migration. For some customers, it might be tricky to migrate, you know, especially those big ones, you know, with the data storages. The migration is not like as easy as just software update and all the data is being converted automatically. That we will take advantage of the backup and restore mechanism. So, you know, customers doing the backups to the SMB storage, some external Samba storage, they will backup from the Logmanager 3, and then they will just migrate the data from that backup to the Logmanager 4, while all the data will be recomputed, reindexed, and to the new architecture. That's why it might be wise to import only the data which are like the operatively needed really for the IT ops, maybe 1 month or something like that. Probably no need to force, I don't know, 1 year or 2 year retention, migrate to the Logmanager 4 because of, you know, the resources, only the rest of the available resources in the box are going to be used for the migration, so it will take some time.
All right, and I believe now you wanted to also talk quickly about the version 3.12.
Yes, I will be really fast here. No, let's go to the AI first, right? Since we put a lot of effort to Logmanager 4, we realized that, you know, there is plenty of AI features all around us, and we want to we do not need to necessarily to need to hype a lot about the AI and the log manager, but still we want to take advantage of some language models to make the work with log manager even easier, right? We have the Blockly, but still it's kind of a task for users who are not using it on a daily basis. So we are focusing on that. And how we are doing that? We managed to achieve we got some grant, the project from Technology Agency of the Czech Republic with a national NRAN CESNet, which is the academia network and great researchers within the CESNet. And they have like 6 full-time employees working only on the features for the log manager. This is the 3 years project. 1 million euros, this 25 million Czech crowns, the overall budget of the project. And we have 3 goals: doing the configuration easier, especially classifiers and parsers. You can imagine that you put like the sample logs to the language model, and it will create the Blockly code for you for the parsers. Similar for the other definition. Instead of creating the Blockly, you can just put a prompt, and it will create the Blockly code instead of you. And I will show you shortly a video demonstration of the ongoing prototype we already have. And the third piece is the smart log analysis, doing the time series analysis, trends over the logs, and finding anomalies in the logs. And let's dive into the video of the smart alerting or smart definition of the alert. So this is a prompt where you put the Linux suspicious bash commands. You click on the generate alert, and you see how it processes. It takes, I don't know, 10 seconds to generate the response. The reply, it replies in terms of JSON and XML definition. For now, we do not have this directly in the product in terms of prompting from the log manager. But here, once you use the XML definition, you copy it and you paste it in the existing log manager device. So you paste it in XML, and then you click back to the Blockly, and you see that all the Blockly is built for you. You can just adjust it if you need. You can add some your own commands. You might somewhere Google you or extend it with your logic as you wish.
So it's just a prototype. I really would like to integrate to the product to the level where you ideally don't have to copy paste.
Exactly. Exactly. I would imagine it as a button, that you push that, okay, this is the Blockly code. Let's convert it to my log manager instance.
And now's the time for 3.12.
Exactly. But yeah, this is something I just wanted to mention, just to know that we are not forgetting to the existing customers. We know that they will spend some time until we have the clusters developed for the Log Manager 4. So we are keeping the Log Manager 3 still on our radar. So two-factor authentication, something which makes sense from the either best practices, NIS2 requirements. So we are adding it to 3.12. We have improved the backup and restore mechanism. We had some issues with some customers, especially biggest instances. It took ages. It took ages to do the backup. We improved 6 times the speed of the backup, and we also created the new dashboards, one for backup, one for restore, so you can see what is being, whether the backup failed or not, what was the error. Another improvement is the parsing engine monitoring, so you can see the resources needed for doing the parsing for specific parsers, so you can optimize your device if needed. Great for troubleshooting. Other improvements, we are either adding parsers or updating parsers. Aruba OS, cron, ISC bind, ISC, DHCP, OpenSSH, postfix, then asset Microsoft, Aruba ClearPass. So those are new or updated parsers. We are starting using telemetry, so we have better insight into what is really being used. We can do the better product decisions, whether to strip or deprecate some functionality, or whether improve it because it's really being used. So this is something which is really handy. And then some internal improvements, new update server. We can face the rollouts for smaller machines first or geographically, and then we have the new demo with the Logmanager 4, and this is something you might want to mention.
Right. So for those of you who want to click around and try Logmanager 4, you can go to this URL, logmanager.com/lm4. And after inputting your email, you will receive credentials to access this interactive demo. It is the same one as Lubos used today to showcase the new product. And we'll be really happy if you give us your honest feedback. So thank you very much. Have a great day and see you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Arthur.